West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
For Gooners everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews, and the best Arsenal videos and podcasts. Download the free Gunners app now from the App Store and Google Play.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, episode 108. What a strange situation that we find ourselves in at the moment. What's going on around the world, not in just the world of sport. Everything. Absolute chaos. Ireland, where I live, is in kind of a semi-lockdown at the moment due to all what's going on. It's a bit weird. It's a bit eerie. And the one thing I have got from it is how fucked up the human race is, to be honest with you. No common sense whatsoever, some people, but there you go. It's always been like that. It's a bit of a weird one this week because we've got no game to talk about, but... excuse me. But we're going to have a chat about the Arsenal and things around it. Dan, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I've had a very interesting weekend, full of fun, full of sport, full of football. It's been poor. What do people do without football, mate? I tell you, honestly, I don't get it. I can't deal with it. It's like 2 days of hell, mate. It's been. It's
weird, isn't it? I don't know what people do at the weekend who don't like football.
No idea, mate. No idea, mate. But listen, I'm into other sports, but even they're cancelled as well. You know, see the book Sky Sports on or BT Sports, wherever you've got, none of it's on, is it? So it's just you have to watch replays or you have to get glued to Netflix. Me and Judges were talking yesterday about it. You just be glued to Netflix now, aren't we? Until sport comes back on, I think.
I completed Netflix in 2 days. Done. Completed it. Harry, how are you, sir?
Not bad, not bad. I finally found out what my wife gets up to at a weekend. So interesting.
I was the same. Yeah, I was the same. Apparently, I have a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and then there was some woman walking around the place making food for everyone. So I was like, "Geez, this is great." Judges,
find out your missus gets made redundant from doesn't work at Woolworths anymore. That was what I heard.
That was funny the first time I read it, but then after you scrolling through Twitter, and it's like every other person.
It's like every other person,
yeah. Judges, how are you?
Yeah, not so bad, thanks.
How's that back?
Oh, still in pain. I'm glad that we're on that all the games are being called off. I'm not missing no games at the minute, like, you know what I mean. So that's a good thing. So we're top of the league at this moment, and on goal difference. So I don't know if they're going to abandon the Vets League, and if they do, it means I've got a championship winners medal. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Like, you know?
Can we give that away?
We'll give it away, you know what I mean? So something we can do, you know. So I don't give away medals. So I've had a fantastic weekend though, because as I was talking to Dan yesterday, me and Dan had a chat yesterday. I've been watching Netflix, and I've got into. Someone said to me, "You've got to watch Luther." I've never watched Luther before.
Yes,
so good, mate.
So I've done the first series already. Absolutely brilliant. Like this is getting in my way of Luther today. Like I can't wait to watch Luther. Second series.
Don't let us get in your way at all.
I was just saying. So
kick you out like I did last week.
No need for that, Nigel. Calm it down, Nigel. Calm it down. So anyway, so it's been a good weekend. I don't know if I could do it forever because I believe there's only 4 series of Luther. I've got through 1 in a day, so that's only going to take me to Wednesday, Thursday. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing next week. So anybody got any recommendations to bring in any series or whatever like that I've not seen? Feel free to put them up so that I can sit at home next weekend with my bad back in isolation, watching some good Netflix. That's all I ask.
Harry, can you do me a favour, mate? Can you tweet out that we're live? I forgot to do it. And
worthwhile coming on here now because people are going to turn around and say, like, you know, Give me some good stuff.
I haven't got my phone with me. I'll give it to my little boys watching.
You're gonna hate me, but I haven't got the login on my new phone.
Oh, and
So
yeah, all right,
no.
Dan, can you do it? Can you tweet out the link to tell everyone that
mate.
we're live? Thank you very much.
Okay,
Hello to you
I'll
all
do
in the
it.
chat box. If you can
And
share it as well.
Third, Dan. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know, mate. I know.
If you can share it all in the chat box as well, go on Twitter, let everyone know we're live. Good evening to you all.
watch Peaky Blinders, somebody said. Oh, come on, everyone
yeah.
watch Peaky Blinders. Come on.
Line of Duty, that's another good one. Line of Duty,
Brilliant,
unbelievable.
Line of Duty.
Mother of
Thank
God.
you, Karen. Seen Line of Duty, fantastic.
Mother of God. I'm only interested in, what is it? I'm only interested in arresting Ben Coppers.
You got the accent.
Yeah.
Well done.
Nothing
Well
else,
done,
but
Craig.
you got
That
the
was good,
accent.
mate.
Mother of God. Graham! Oh! Graham's back after about 28 weeks. Graham's back. How are you, sir?
It's only 8. I'm very well, mate. It's only 8 weeks, actually.
Oh, you've been counting.
I don't know.
I knew he knew the exact time. I knew it.
The thing is, I'm a bit worried about tonight because I'm a bit out of my comfort zone. I've got no tactics to talk about. So first of all, shout out to Mark. I thought he was really funny last week. I don't know how I'm going to top him, really, to be honest. He was excellent last week, so funny. And the show was off its head last week. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching it when I got in late Monday night last week. With no tactics to analyse, no long analysis to give, Lee won't have to worry about going make a cup of tea and having something to eat this week,
No,
mate.
I got stuck here now. You know, I normally, when you're on, I normally go out, have a sandwich, have a cup of tea. But, you know, there you go.
I'm a bit upset about that last comment. But my Irish
What's that
accent
then?
was my Irish accent was shocking.
Anyway, it's good to be back.
To be honest,
I
I
thought it was
thought it
quite
was
good.
all right. I thought it was all right. But with a name like Niall, probably he's got, you know.
Yeah, it should be
an idea.
Niall Healy. He's probably in the right place to tell me that it was crap. To be fair,
Yeah, so I'm going to
he's
take
not-
his word for it. I'm going to take his word for it. Like, you know, big up Niall.
all right. Well, DJ talent over here.
Just saying. I don't get comments like that. Just saying.
Okay, so during last week, we all quite shocked with the news that Mikel Arteta, our boss, had tested positive for the coronavirus.
We're weak. We're weak. The first one's down. We're weak. It's a mentality thing. We are the weakest club in the country. First to go down. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Spend some fucking money.
Conke's fault because we're weak. The mentality of this club.
Really, yeah. I mean, look, really. I mean, you just don't expect it to happen, do you? You know, you hear about things all over the world, and it's happening to this people and those people, and this team and that team, and then when it's so close to home with your own club and your manager's been struck down, I mean, Jesus. It gets quite worrying then because you have to wonder about how many people that Mikel Arteta has actually been in contact with over those few days. Could have been, you know, the multiplication on that. I mean, the people that Arteta come into contact with. Dan, all the players, mate, in 2-week isolation.
Yeah, it seems that way. There was some rumours, weren't there? There was some under-23 players and there's some potentially unnamed players that have also could have it as well. But Mikel Arteta, we believe, is okay. His wife has given an update to say that he's getting better. I love this. I love this comment. I loved that comment. Ian R, brilliant. But it seems that he is on the mend now. So I think as long as you are a young, fit male or female, you're more than likely to get away with it. And that's what seems to happen with Mikel Arteta. You're right there, Lee.
Oh, I love it. I love that. I love these. I love that. I love our people in the chat. Love them.
They're brilliant.
Love them.
Harry, the fella who apparently passed it on to Arteta, this is, I don't know how true it is, was it not the Olympiacos
Owner, yep.
owner?
He is the Olympiacos owner. He also owns Nottingham Forest as well. He is an absolute tramp and a scumbag, and everybody in Greece hates him. And there were rumours that he was faking it to avoid court proceedings, which, knowing his past, you wouldn't put it past him. But He quickly said that he caught it in the UK, blamed the UK, obviously. But it's interesting because, I was getting quite wound up actually, because when we were supposed to play Manchester City last Wednesday, I stayed up till almost 1 a.m. To talk to the guys on the sports bar about the game. And literally 5 minutes before I went on air, the game was cancelled. And then I didn't have nothing to say, which was quite embarrassing. But then, we were watching sort of the way this whole thing has unfolded. The sensible decision would have been to cancel or suspend the Premier League. But they didn't do that. It took Mikel Arteta to be diagnosed with this thing for them to actually pull their fingers out of their asses and do something. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a bit more detail. The biggest concern here is that when the World Health Organization are telling everybody that this is a serious thing and every other country is taking precautions, and we're going to the Emirates Stadium to play games against West Ham United, it just feels a bit like, are we missing something? Are we more advanced that we know what's going on, or actually are we missing the bigger picture here? So it's worrying. And when you hear that the Arsenal manager's picked it up, it really hits home, doesn't it? Because it's someone that, we kind of see as the Arsenal managers are invincible. An Arsenal manager is someone that shouldn't pick up what us commoners get. But so, it was a big shock.
Graham, what's your take on it all, mate?
Well, I don't know. He ain't got no tactics to it, is he?
If Boris Johnson sat you down, how would you attack it?
Yeah, what's Boris's tactics? A 4-4-2?
I think we need to keep politics out of it, mate. Look, I mean, the first thing we have to say tonight is that they've decided to put a 2-week hold on the league season, but I find it absolutely unbelievable. I can't believe that we'll be in a position on April the 3rd, April the 4th for the league season to start again. So to me, I think I just can't see any football being played at the moment. And I think the thing you need to obviously factor in here is that in 2 weeks' time they'll review it. I think they'll put it on hold again. I can't see when they're going to start it. I think the other thing we need to factor in is that the players can't just suddenly start playing when they decide to factor in, because they've got to start training again. I know they've got their programs that apparently they're taken home with them, but when they decide to restart the season, if they can restart the season, they've got to start training again. So I think it's highly unlikely that the season is going to be played out this year, which you could argue is a good thing for Arsenal, because this is probably Arsenal's worst ever season in a way. So it means, what are we going to do? How are we going to decide who are the champions? Who are we going to decide who gets promoted, relegated? They're the issues, I think, that are going to be unraveling in the next few months. And those are the sort of things I think that they need to come up with the answers for. Me personally, I'd like to see the season played out in some way. I really would. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I would hate to see the season just ended now. And because I can see all sorts of litigation if certain teams are told you're not going up, or certain teams. I mean, I saw Henry Winter tweeted out, let's just end the season now and make Liverpool the champions, and the top 4 or 5 go into the Champions League, and the ones at the bottom get relegated. But Aston Villa have got a game in hand, for example. So and the thing is, the other point I thought, and I know everyone's going to have a view on this, and I'll listen to what the judge is going to say. He's itching to get in, I can tell. There's a kettle boil, mate.
No, not yet. Not yet. You're all right. You've got another 20 minutes yet. Don't worry.
The thing that went through my head, as I said to you boys before we came on air tonight, is thank God Watford beat Liverpool the other week.
Yeah.
You just imagine if Liverpool were handed the league title in the next couple of weeks, they would say that they won the league unbeaten, wouldn't they? So the fact that Watford beat them. So you said tonight, Judge, before you come on, you're watching Luther. I think you should be watching Troy Deeney, mate, not Luther Blissett. Because I think we owe a debt to Troy and to Watford, because they ended Liverpool's unbeaten run, didn't they? So that's my fault. I would like to see the season played out to a conclusion. I can't see how it's going to happen, but that's what I would like to see. I don't know what the boys think about that.
Lee, what about you, mate?
Well, listen, with Liverpool, there's no argument. They're going to win the league. That's done and dusted. But it's for the other positions in Europe. You could probably argue about that. But then you look at the Champions League. I think that is it Sheffield United have got a game in hand over Man United, would jump above Man United if they have that, if they win that game in hand, so that 5th place can become important. And also like the relegation, so it's not as simple as that from that point of view. I think at the end of the day, look, somewhere along the line, we will get back to normal. When that is, no one knows, but we will do. And when they say, "Oh, these players, they can still go training," you know what I mean? At this moment in time, we've got to go work. We're still going to work. No one's telling us not to go work. So for me, their work is their training. So they're just going and train until it's till there is. Unless the government turn around and say, "Well, you can't go to work no more," and that includes everybody then, like, players and all that, but at this moment in time, the schools are still going. So I think that's a big gauge. Once the schools close down, I think then things will change. So listen, I think you've got to go with it day by day, week by week. I've got an holiday coming up in a few weeks' time, which is not looking precarious. So you just got to see how it goes week in, week out. I've just seen today that in China things are looking better over there. They've stopped eating bats, which is a great thing. So hopefully, they can. And if they've started to see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel, then hopefully, other countries can. And I don't know if you've seen the I think you put it up, Craig, on Twitter about the matches. When the light's going round and you pull one out and it all stops.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic tweet, and I think that's what we've got to do. We just got to be sensible, wait to see what happens over the next few weeks. Personally, I can't see the league coming back on the 3rd. I can't see them saying that. But my argument is that if it comes back in, say, 5, 6, 7 weeks' time, the Euros should be cancelled. Because and then the Premier League carries on. So if it's in May, you just carry on to the end, and then if you have to put back the start of the Premier League for next season, then so be it. So that's how I see it. Life will go on, but obviously until that does happen, we've got to do everything that the government and what more importantly that the people that know are saying what to do, and that's how it is. But I've gone to work today. It was a little bit more quiet out there, but people are still going on about doing their thing. This is what I find very, very strange is that today they've stopped all grassroots football. You're not allowed to be in certain areas, and then I see there's concerts still going ahead.
Yeah.
The schools are still at school. The worst one for me, and we've all been there. If you've in London, is when you go into the underground. You get into a confined space and it's like sardines all squashed together. But that's still being allowed at the moment. So there's got to be a time when they're going to turn around and say, right, everything's got to come to a stop, and we can move it on.
Lee, can I just come in there and just say that I think
you
they've
certainly
announced
can, you know what I mean?
they've I think the Johnson press release or the press conference about 5 o'clock. I think they've now stopped people going to concerts, to theatres. I think schools have been kept open for now, but I think even as we're talking, they're shutting things down, mate. So I think the concerts and the theatres.
I've just had a message. Sorry, Graham. I've just had a message literally just now from one of my mates who booked to take his missus to the theatre tonight. He's got there at 7 o'clock and they've turned them away and they've closed it after the announcement at 5 o'clock.
Is that right? Pubs are closing as well. So
pubs as
well. It's going to be a washout this year, isn't it?
Pubs have been closed. Pubs have been closed here in Ireland for the last 2 days. Yeah. They reckon that they're going to close. They reckon that they're going to close the restaurants. Schools have been closed for a week already. What else have they done? No gathering. You are not allowed to have, say, for example, now where I work in the hotel, we are not allowed to have 100 more than 100 people on the premises at any one time. And outdoor events in Ireland over 500. You can't have an outdoor event if it's over 500 people.
Someone's put in the chat, horse racing is still going on at the moment.
Yeah, but the horse racing is still going on in Ireland, but just the racing. There's no one in the stands. Just the racing.
They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop boozing and gambling, are they? But
what's going to happen with the pubs then and all that?
Well, the pubs are closed. St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, and the pubs are closed.
Yeah, that's a big, going to be a big hit. You know, for everybody, even in England, it's a big thing, isn't it?
We had part of the British. Every year we have a part of the British tarmac rally come through my town. Massive money spinner for the town. That got cancelled. Was supposed to start on Friday evening. Got cancelled 2:00 Friday afternoon. I was at work. I was at work. I had a full house at 2:15. By the time I went home at 5:00, I had an empty hotel.
Just one final thing that I
actually... Can we put Unknown Driller up, please? Can we have that one up, pleast?
I was going to say just one final thing. I was just going to add that I saw before I came into the podcast tonight is that apparently there's a mini tournament could be put together to decide the Champions League.
I've seen the one just now.
For the people that listen on audio, someone's just put a comment in that league judges will blame.
No, not that one.
Oh no! Oh bloody hell! That's quite good.
Well, where are you?
I've got it.
There you go. There you go. That's the one. That's the one. Well done, like, you know what I mean?
No, I'm not. That's not my cousin. That's not my dad. It's not my brother.
As it's pick on Dan night, Dan, you should really wear a different colour top next time because you look like you're naked.
It looks like I've got like.
You look like you're sitting there like.
I'm a bit hot, to be fair.
Can I just
go for it, Graham? Go for it.
Well, sorry, we're interrupting you, Graham. Really sorry.
This new banter podcast that we got going here. They announced today, I think I see it on the BBC website, a possible mini tournament to decide the Champions League, Europa League in Istanbul and Gdansk to cut down travelling, where they play, if possible, in conjunction with possible league fixtures if they get them back on to find the winners of the Champions League and the Europa League. That was something
Do you know what we should do? We should have a 5-a-side tournament. Each team send five people, go to Wembley, mark out a load of pitches like we used to do in the summer. Five players from Arsenal, 5 players from every team in the league, play each other twice, and whoever finishes top wins the league. There you go.
Do you know what, though? Can I be really blatantly honest here? Like, you know, I mean, since we got knocked out, I don't give a monkeys about Europe. They can do what they like with it. They can do what they like with it. I don't care. You know.
Here's a good one though. Seeing as we've not got no football to talk about, if you had to pick your 5 Arsenal players to be in this 5-a-side team, who would you pick?
What, from the current team?
Yeah,
Leno in goal.
Leno's got a spot. Look, Leno's got a spot.
Leno.
God, that's a good question.
We'll think about it. We'll come back to it. Yeah. Who's this guy in the chat that says he can see my Ozil shrine in the back? What are you talking about?
Let's get back to this. Look, Jesse, he wants to know.
It's just a glow.
Should we give Liverpool the title? Do you think if they think Liverpool should get the title? Hi, Craig. Hello, Jesse. Can you ask the guys if they think Liverpool should get the title if the league is scrapped? No. Because I want to hear the noise of all the hearts breaking.
But how can you give them the title and then not relegate people? This is the problem.
Absolutely.
You have to either relegate people, give people Champions League positions based on where they are now, etc., and give Liverpool the title, or you can't give anyone anything. So,
because it's a knock-on effect, though, isn't there? Who comes up from the you haven't got to think about the Premier League. What about the Championship?
Yeah, exactly.
Who comes up?
I mean, Liverpool. 30 years Liverpool have waited to win the title, and it's going to be taken away from them. Leeds United since 2004, they've been trying to get back in a Premiership. They're on the verge of it. Yeah, and it's going to be taken away from them.
I know.
I think the thing I saw in the media over the weekend, are possible where they make Liverpool the champions just to promote the top 2, have a league next season of 22, and then 4 get relegated. I don't know what people think about that.
But that's not fair. But then the way that I would ask then, that's not fair on the lads who are in the playoff positions. Do you know?
Yeah,
because the champion is so complicated, so complicated.
I think until as it's not it's still mathematically possible that Liverpool can't win the league, so therefore you can't then.
I'm with you.
The league title.
Yeah,
do you know
I'm
what I mean?
You on that. Yeah.
You can't say, oh well, they're going to win it anyway. It's a bit like saying, I think Liverpool probably win it next season, so should we just give it to them next season as well? Do you know what I mean? It's just silly. You've got to actually make sure that they have won it, and it's mathematically impossible. If they've already won the league, that's a different story. But you can't just stop the league and then sort of decide who's going to win the title title and who's going to get relegated when people have got game in
That's
hand.
what they've
Yeah,
You've got
yeah.
Sheffield United. Like, if this fifth place matters, Sheffield United have got a game in hand. And if they win that, they go into the fifth place ahead of Man United. Aston Villa, game in hand to stay in the league. Arsenal, game in hand to be 2 points off of fourth. You know what I mean? It's just so nothing's finished yet, is it? So I want to see it extended. It doesn't matter if they cancel the Euros. We've got till the 12th of July. That's plenty of time, in my opinion, to get things done, even if we play 2 games a week and get it done in a couple of months.
Oh, you all right there, Harry?
They got
I don't think sneezing is a symptom. I think it's coughing.
okay,
All right, cool.
All right.
Cool.
And that game in end that Sheffield United have and Aston Villa is against each other. So one of them's going to get 3 points or a point. You know what I mean? So it's not like they can both lose that game. At the end of it, one of them's going to win it or draw it. I don't know why I said that really.
Okay,
Anyway.
draw it.
Now, lads, if you're watching,
Yeah.
100, nearly 200 of you watching live, if you could hit the like button for me, thank you very much. I set a target of 500 likes. I set a target of 500 likes last week, and I got quite close to it, actually. I think I was about 100 off. So thanks very much for that. If you're watching this on the replay, hit the like button now. Thank you very much indeed. All links to our sponsors are obviously down below in the website. West Cork Beer Company, a friend of mine, Colin, who runs his own business over here in Ireland. If you are thinking about getting someone a gift, have a think about it, because he kind of needs you right now with things what's going on at the moment. So shall we move on and shall we talk about this Premier League Hall of Fame that's been cancelled, of course, but who do we think would have been the first 2 inductees? Dan, let's start with you, mate.
Mine would be different to the 1-2 I think it will be, but I think the 2 they would have gone for would have been Ryan Giggs and Alan Shearer. I think you go for the most decorated player in Premier League, which would be Ryan Giggs, and the person who scored the most goals in Alan Shearer. But I probably would have put Thierry Henry over Alan Shearer personally. So Giggs is definite. That's definite. I think everyone agreed with that one. Can agree with that one. But I think, it's a matter of who gets it next. Is it going to be a Paul Scholes or Roy Keane, another Man United lad, or is it going to be the best player that's ever played in the Premier League? And that's who I went for in Thierry Henry. But they reckon it would have been Shearer. So, yeah, they're my 2.
I was thinking more... I don't know.
Mustafi?
No, more Leno and John
Chesney.
Walk.
John Walk.
I love John Walk, mate. Honestly, go and watch Ipswich. When I used to play for Ipswich, when I used to go and watch him, John Walk, mate, what a player. Harry, what do you reckon, mate? A lot of people, I think, would have said Henry and Shearer, wouldn't they? But Dan's actually made a good point there. Ryan Giggs being the most decorated player in the division.
I should never put him in. He's bloody dealing with his sister-in-law for God knows how long. He doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Let's move on.
Tell you what, Harry's on one, isn't he? Harry is on one. You can tell Harry's not had football. He's missing it. He's getting angry now.
I'm angry.
And the fact that he's got his baseball cap on the wrong way.
Bad hair day, mate. Bad hair day. Bad hair day. Probably Henry and Shearer sounds like a sensible thing. Henry, for me, is the greatest player ever to play in the Premier League, so he's got to be on it. He's got to be in there.
Do you know what, right? This is a bloody good shout. What a shout. Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. We're all going on about players. Graham, what about that? Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger, the first 2 inducted.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be
Players
fantastic.
first, isn't it? That's
It's got to be players, though, isn't it? So
yeah, it's players first.
I agree with what Dan said. For me, it's got to be the most decorated player. That's Giggsy. And it's got to be Thierry Henry for me. I absolutely agree with Dan 100% there. But yeah, I mean, what a great call that would be to honour, in my opinion, the greatest 2 ever Premier League managers.
Absolutely. What about you, Lee?
I think it's a tough one, but I'm probably going to go. I think go with the earlier sort of people, like
Ian Marshall.
He was fantastic for a little while.
He was.
Arsenal sort of like for the first couple of years, it was all
Mark
Man
Stein.
United, wasn't it? It was it was all Man United to start off with the first.
Dimitri Karine, he was a good goalie.
Then Blackburn, and then I'm not going to go into your goalkeeping shenanigans.
Tim Flowers.
Schmeichel would have to be in there.
Tim Flowers was a great goalie.
So I'm going to go for 2 players completely out of the remix here. I think that started a little bit of the revolution of the Premier League for me. So I'm going to go Alan Shearer because he's the top goal scorer in it, and Eric Cantona because
That's a good shout.
In those first few years, and like eventually players were better than him, i.e. Bergkamp, i.e. Zola, i.e. Vieira, i.e. Omri. They were better players that come along at the end. But he was the one that started it. So as you're going into the Hall of Fame at the first ones in, I think it should be the ones that were sort of more into it there. And as much as I hated Man United, I couldn't help but like Eric Cantona.
Yeah, he was a magnificent player.
So for me, like someone's put on Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously he would come into it, but obviously a little bit later on, But for the first two, I think because he's got the Premiership record goals, unbelievable Alan Shearer, and definitely Mike Dean got to be in there. I'll tell you what, like if Mike Dean ever goes in there, I'll fucking burn the place.
He's actually donated us a Big Mac. Thank you very much, Mike.
I'd rather Mike Dean. If that is the real Mike Dean, I am going to turn down that Big Mac. I say that, you know what I mean? I wouldn't take nothing off of him.
I want to know where you can get a Big Mac for $1.99 these days.
Yeah,
cheeseburger, isn't it?
Eurosaver menu, no? Thank you very much for your kind donation. That's very nice of you. Thank you very much indeed. Imagine if that was the real Mike Dean, though. Jesus. Evening, Mike.
I'm pretty shocked that none of you's gone for Ryan Giggs. I thought that was an obvious one. Everyone's been saying, it's got to be Giggs and then someone else.
I went for Ryan Giggs.
I'm with Harry on that.
I went for
Harry
Giggs.
with that. You know what I mean? Like disgraceful behaviour, like while the Premier League was on.
Get over
Did
it.
anyone see
There's
that Paddy Power advert? Did anyone
Yes.
see that Paddy with his brother? That was class.
Oh yeah.
Ryan Giggs is a great player.
Let's have a vote on it then. Let's have a vote. Me and Dan have gone for Giggsy and Omri. That's 2 for Giggs, 2 for Omri. Harry and Lee, who are you going for?
I've told
Omri
you
Shearer.
Where was you having a cup of tea when I just said Eric Cantona and Alan Shearer?
So Shearer, so 2 for Shearer. Is that right? Craig, who did you say?
I said John Walk and Ian Marshall.
That's our roast.
I think we've all gone for. I think we've all gone for Omri. I think Craig's got to have the deciding vote on whether it's Shearer or Giggs. So who are you going for, Craig?
Oh, I've got to go for Shearer. I'd have to go for Shearer over Ryan Giggs. He was good.
And they are the two that they're going to be. It's going to be Giggs and Shearer. Everyone I've spoken to has left Henry out.
So I tell you what, there's some fantastic players. Like people are mentioning it now, like that have gone through. Steven Gerrard has to be one of the best midfield players. Well, not my favourite, but Gerrard was certainly up there. Well,
there's a good shout there. What about Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank? That's a good shout. He was good, wasn't he? He was good.
Yeah, he was good, but he was not in the class of Henry and Shearer.
No, he wasn't. But, Francis Jeffers.
What
about Kevin Campbell?
Big Super Kev. Well, the Everton fans, he was fantastic up there for them as well. Unfortunately for Kevin, like a lot of the players in the great Arsenal sides of '91, they weren't in the Premier League then.
That's true.
It was it was the Division 1, so that their goals don't count for the Premier League, which is ridiculous. So
I'll tell you what,
that was a great season '91, but don't get the recognition because it weren't the Premier League.
Yeah, of course. It wasn't the Premier League till '92, was it? 92 was the first Premier League.
Who was the first? Our question for who was the first player to score in the Premier League?
Brian Dean.
1-0 to Craig.
Against Manchester United at Bramall Lane.
That's correct. For Sheffield United.
Thank you. Thanks.
I hope you're as good as that on the quiz in a few weeks' time.
I'm not coming on the quiz.
Yeah.
No, I'm letting Dan.
With answers like that, mate.
I'm letting Dan do that. That's Dan. I got a text message from Dan saying that he's hosting the quiz next Monday. So I said, all right then.
What, you're not in it?
No.
He didn't want to be on it.
Apparently not.
The last time we done a quiz, he embarrassed himself, Dan. That's between me and you.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did say, Craig goes, I don't want to do that. He says, I'll let you do it.
I didn't embarrass myself up against you at all.
No, I'm talking about that one we done on that. Do you remember it?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, but we didn't do well, did we?
We didn't do very well, but it was bloody hard. The questions were bloody hard.
Yeah, it was memorable tests and all that, what I mean? So
that was good though. It was good. Okay.
5-a-side team.
The 5-a-side. Oh, have you? Oh, well, we won't talk about that then if you've got it.
I will tactically, I'd set it up would be Leno in goal, Ceballos playing deep. I would have Martinelli on the left, Pepe on the right, and Aubameyang down the middle. Ceballos looking to feed the ball in out wide to either Ceballos feeding out to either Pepe and Martinelli and playing in Aubameyang. There's your five-side team.
Oh, I like it. I like the tactics.
Good tactics,
What about you, Harry?
What end would you kick off first?
I'd go with. I'm going to go with the team that everyone expects me to go with, based on.
Mesut Ozil.
So I'm going to go.
Mesut Ozil's cousin.
Leno in goal. Leno in goal. Mustafi, Xhaka, Ozil, and then Ketia. There you go.
Man, you never let me down. You never.
Lee, what about you?
I think Granit Xhaka would probably be good in the five-side because he wouldn't have to make so much ground up, like, you know what I mean. So, I'd definitely go Leno in goal. I think he just shades it. I think that other than but I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for my central defender. That's a tough one. Like, none of them are any good, so I'm going to go with.
Don't need a central defender and a five outside team.
Nah, that's right. That's what I said. That's what I said. I'm going Guendouzi. Yeah. He can do that role there, like, Ceballos firing the shots for Aubameyang and Reece Nelson. I think he's a little tricky little bit of player. Bit of this, bit of that, bit of young athleticism. Oh, that'll win it easy.
Well, I'm going to call Noel McGovern's team the best one. Leno, Luiz, Torreira, Saka, Aubameyang. Look at that. What a team.
Oh, yeah, Saka.
Good in private side.
Saka, I should have put Saka in. Saka instead of Nelson, yeah.
Well done, Noel. What a team.
Not really. He's got Luiz and Torreira in it. One's injured and one's rubbish. You know what I mean? No, ain't going to be no good, is it?
That's a great team.
Yeah.
And a name like Noel McGovern, he's definitely from Ireland. Definitely.
Yeah. Wonder what his Irish accent's like.
Yeah, I wonder. Let's throw the questions open to the chat box because, this is really hard when there's nothing really to report. There's been no games.
I'll tell you what. Talking about, can I just say something?
Yeah, of course you can.
What a dream! My dream signings for next season. That's what I'm going to talk about.
Go on then.
Upper
I was going to bring that up earlier. Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
I'd love to have him.
What's his name?
Yeah, him.
What's his name?
Lights, the one from Lights, but Upper Bacana. Ooh, I like him. I like him.
Is that Upper Meccano's brother?
Wait,
Upper Meccano.
Lee, who does he play for?
Leipzig.
Leipzig.
First of all,
that German team that smashed Spurs. That's all you got to know, like,
Upper Meccano sounds like a dance you used to do in the 80s.
I'm having him. I'm having him in the team.
Come on, and do the Upper Meccano.
The one from Atletico Madrid.
A party.
Let's have a party. Oh, I like him. So he's my second one. And I've got to say, the midfield player that banged in the couple of goals against Spurs, they'll be my three now. If we can't get Grealish, he's my next.
We ain't getting Grealish.
Well, all right. Well, he's my next go-to.
I don't think we're going. I would love to sign Jack Grealish. I really would. He would be like.
That would be my three. I'd sell a few players on. What a spine that would be. Come on, boys. That's exciting, isn't it?
It would be fantastic, yeah. But I don't think we're going to get
up with Lovren and Chris Smalling. But there you go, like someone just said in the chat. But there you go.
I'd take Chris Smalling.
We're not going to. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get Upper Meccano for the simple reason that he plays for Leipzig and they're in the Champions League. He's not going to leave a Champions League side, is he? So,
I think he would if the money was right.
I'd love to see him in the team. You think so?
Yeah,
I was going to sort of like say, I was going to say that sort of like I think Arteta would have had a fair idea now of the sort of the pluses for him this season, the players who he's going to look to build his team around next year. And I think he would have looked at the players that he's looking who he's looking to move on. I think that the pluses for me this year have been Leno, Saka, Martinelli, Ceballos and Aubameyang. We don't know if we're going to keep Ceballos, do we? I think 30-odd million was quoted as a possible price. I was going to ask whether we thought that was worth paying that money, whether he would stay.
I think so.
Of course, Aubameyang, the likelihood is Aubameyang's going to leave, I would have thought, because although he's put that tweet out and the interview with Arsenal, 30, 31, last big contract, is he going to stay? No Champions League football, I think he'll go. And I think that offers a chance for Lacazette and Nketiah next season. And I think the end of the season, I thought coming like it did, sort of like there was a chance for young players to really stake a claim for next season. People like Reece Nelson, Tierney was coming back to fitness, and possibly Maitland-Niles, who could have come in and maybe challenged in central midfield with Torreira being injured. So the end of the season has obviously come as a disappointment to those young players, Craig, because I think that they could have maybe sort of like put performances and put themselves in the shop window for Arteta next season. So I think it's worth discussing next season, realistically, who we think we're going to go with next season, who Arteta's going to want on his side.
Do you, like, I don't know, Dan, I'll come to you on this one. Do you think Aubameyang might surprise us all?
Yeah, there's something telling me that he's quite happy. The thing is about Aubameyang, he's never come out and said that he wants to leave. He's never come out and said that he wants to go if we don't get in the Champions League. I think he's fairly happy in London and fairly happy at Arsenal, and I think he does like the fans. He's the captain of the club. I said it before, I'd just keep him, and then if he goes on a free at 33 years old, then so be it. I just think we've got more chance of getting into the Champions League spots with him than without him. And if he is unhappy for that season, then, you know, he goes where he wants at the end of the year and he just gives 110%. He seems like a professional. I wouldn't be trying to get 50 million or 60 million for him because we're not going to replace him with that, in my opinion. We need to spend 200 and get a Haaland or an Mbappe if we want to replace Aubameyang. So we're not going to, you know, we're going to end up with a Callum Wilson or Raul Jimenez, which is going to get you 15 goals a season like Lacazette. So for me, I'd just keep him now and let his contract run down, unless he, of course, wants to sign and stay for another 4 years.
Harry, there's a question for you, mate. If Aubameyang does go, if he does leave next season, who do you think Arteta will make captain? Thanks for your question, Lee. Thank you very much, mate.
Right. If I had to guess who Arteta would make captain, and before everybody jumps on my back, this is not my opinion. This is what I think Arteta will do. No. I think
you know who's going to be.
I think it will be out of Granit Xhaka and David Luiz. They're the two players.
Harry, joking aside, he's right.
Joking aside, they're the first two names on his team sheet every time they're available. It doesn't matter what centre half is fit, who's injured. David Luiz always plays. So does Granit Xhaka when he's available. So for me, I just think, again, it's not my view. I don't necessarily think that they probably, you know, would be the right people. But if you're asking me the question, which is what I think Arteta would do, that's what I think. I think it'd be one of those.
There ain't a standout, is there? To be honest, there's no one that you're saying, right, he's a standout. You know,
exactly.
You may be looking at a couple of players that may be coming in, but is that, you know, like that don't happen very often that a player comes in and then straight in as captain. Even though Maguire got it very, very quickly, didn't he? But I think that Dan's right with it.
Do you think we keep Ceballos?
Harry's right.
If the money's right, if the money's right, Graham.
If it's less than 40, if anything under 40 million and under, definitely.
How can you? Here's a question then to you: how can you play Xhaka and Ceballos in the same midfield? Basically, it's so unbalanced that midfield with them in it at the moment. I know.
Well, they've got to sign players in there. You know what I mean? If we get Partey or someone like that, who knows?
Xhaka's got to go still, man. Xhaka's still got to go. Jesus, because we can't keep him.
Yeah, and I agree with Dan. I think Xhaka should go because I think Ceballos now does what Xhaka does. He's taken that passing role that Xhaka used to have in the team, and all Xhaka's doing now is shunting over to the left-hand side, covering Saka when he goes forward. He's not actually playing those sort of passes, aggressive passes now. It's all Ceballos doing. I don't know what Harry thinks on that.
I think that they're not completely balanced, but I think it depends on the opponent. If it's a team that, you know, you're playing a lower team, let's say at home, and you're looking to dominate possession, then I think it's a good combination. And I think that you're right, absolutely right to say Xhaka pulls out to that left-hand side and covers. I think what Arteta's done really well is he's come in, he's looked at Granit Xhaka, who's obviously very popular in the dressing room. Whether we like him or not is a different story, but he is obviously very popular with his teammates. He got voted in as the captain. Obviously that went to shit, but he did get the votes in the first place. And he's found a way. He's looked at Granit Xhaka and he's looked at the system and he's found a way of using him and adapting the tactics a little bit to not expose him and at the same time to provide that cover to allow the left back to go forward. Mikel Arteta's way of playing is to dominate the ball. He's come from the school of Pep. You know that's what he wants to do. And I don't think that in Mikel Arteta's mind, he is, in the long term, he is worried about that defensive imbalance. I think in his mind, when his job is done will be when Arsenal are completely dominating games. So he sees those two as a viable partnership. And I think that Danny Ceballos, if he does stay, you'll see him used in certain games. I think when we go away to the big sides, you'll see Torreira come back in there. You'll see Guendouzi come back in there. But I think Mikel Arteta very much believes at the moment that if he wants to have the majority of the ball and he wants to break teams down and he wants to get the most out of Ozil as well, because Ceballos does find him in those positions that other people don't, then I think he believes that that is a decent partnership, and I think he'll stick with it.
There's some great stuff in the chat. There's some great stuff in the chat here, which I totally agree with in terms of the formation. I think we need to change this midfield. The defence, I think, will get sorted next season because some of them will be going. The strikers we need to sort out, but at the moment we're okay with who we've got there. The midfield needs sorting out. Sam Greenwood, that is exactly what I was looking at there. What about looking at the formation? For me, we need to get rid of the Mesut Ozils of this world and the number 10s and the Granit Xhakas and the players that have done it, who haven't done it for 4, 5, 6 seasons now, and go with a hard-working midfield three like Liverpool do, a hard-working midfield three like Leicester and Man City have done, and they're the top 3 in the league this season. No one plays number 10s anymore, and I've said it that the role is dead. I actually think Granit Xhaka's role is now dead as well. I think we now need to look at hard-working midfielders that are going to do the Jordan Henderson, Wijnaldum and Oxlade-Chamberlain role from Liverpool, and you have those 3, and you've mentioned some of them. Thomas Partey, he's a hard-working midfielder. You look at Doucouré from Watford as a hard-working midfielder. Some monsters in midfield like Samare, Sangare, those sort of players, you know.
Let me just pull you up on something there that I completely disagree with. You say that the number 10 role's dead, and that's fine if you've got Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah on the flanks that are going to score you 20 goals a season, right? But when you don't have that and you can't break a team down who have come and parked the bus at your stadium, how are you expecting a Thomas Partey and Matteo Guendouzi and a Doucouré to break a team down? They don't have any invention. They don't have any creativity. They don't have an ounce of flair in their bodies. And we're talking about, this is a problem that if you want to be a big team and you want to be a big club and have that reputation, people are going to come and play like that against you. So I'm not saying that Ozil is the answer for the long term or that Xhaka is, but this hard working thing, football's not just about who runs the most. And that for me is the point that always gets missed.
So for me,
I think I was going to say, Dan, I think I was going to make the point, and I'll take up what Harry said. I think the 2 areas we need to improve is ball progression. We have struggled with ball progression. We got players knocking a lot of safe sideway passes. We don't move the ball quick enough through midfield, as Harry says. We've got nobody who can sort of like dribble with the ball and progress the ball quickly. I think the other thing is we're not getting the best out of Pepe on that right-hand side. I've been saying it for weeks.
This is what I was going to bring on. And this is what I'm going to bring up about the players we have got on the wings, the Martinellis, the Sakas, the Pepes, the Aubameyangs. We've got the pace there. So, we might not have a Mane or a Salah, but we don't know, because at the moment we've got Mesut Ozil and Granit Xhaka that are playing ahead of some of these midfielders that can then progress some of our forward line. The reason our kind of front line has struggled this season is because our midfield has been weak and has been pathetic and has been invisible. Mesut Ozil and Mares Bill Tabor 10 men. Granit Xhaka too busy slowing the play down, turning sideways, turning backwards, passing it back to Luiz again. I don't want to see that anymore. I've had enough of that. You've already talked about the imbalance of Ceballos. We've already seen that Torreira's not being utilised properly. The whole midfield is a mess at the moment, and I believe that the defence we've seen the issues with, but really the front line isn't getting the service because of the poor midfield that we've got. And people say that Ozil is the only option we've got, is the only creator we've got. That header against Lacazette is the first time he's assisted in God knows how long. So we've got to stop with this. Mesut Ozil's the only person who's creating. No, he's not. He's proven in 18 months that he can't assist. So people still sit there and say, but he's the only best we got.
No one's saying that.
That's the best we've got. There's poor.
No, I'm not saying for a second.
No, but not you, Harry, but people are telling me this. People are saying that Ozil's the best we've got and he's the great creator. He's the best number 10 in the world. What's going on? I don't get it. That's what I'm saying. Saka.
Maybe he's
got players. Saka, Martinelli, Pepe. We've got some great players.
That's what I would do, you know what I mean? But I think we need to. I think if listen, we've had Granit. I've loved watching Granit Xhaka, what he's done over the last. I think it's been fantastic since the bust up for him to come back, shown a great deal of mental strength and great and everything. But if you're going to go on and challenge for the title and the top 4, he's not your answer in midfield, and none of them. And that's a fact. You know what I mean? Like none of the back 4. That's Luiz, Socrates, whoever. It's got to be completely changed, stripped, and start again. And that's when you've got to get in big, powerful players and players that are going to get the ball. Someone like Grealish, someone like the German player that scored 2 goals, the Austrian that scored 2 goals against Spurs, somebody like that that's going to open up things like that. That's what we're going to need. We're going to have to rip it up and start again. You know,
I do think I'll put this question.
Torreira ain't good enough neither.
No. I'll put this question to all of you just before we finish up, and we'll get your answers there. Now, I think next season, when the season starts, this team will look nothing like it does now.
Yeah,
I fully believe that. Dan,
so.
would you go along with that?
Yeah, I hope so. I really do, and I think that there are, players that are still good enough to be at the club, but unfortunately there isn't many of them. I think Graham, I totally agree with the positives this season. I think Leno is good enough. I think that Saka and Martinelli are good enough. I think Guendouzi's got a future at the club, although it might not be in the first team at the moment. And obviously Aubameyang is good enough. If any of the other players, honestly, left, I wouldn't care. I don't care if Ozil, Xhaka, Kolasinac, Mustafi, Socrates, the list goes on. If they left, would anybody be upset? No, they wouldn't, because they're replaceable. And I understand what Harry's saying.
Hold on. So do you trust Mikel Arteta? Do you think he's the right man for the job?
There's a few question marks over some of the stuff he's done. But what I would say about Arteta is we need to see what he wants to do with players that he wants at this club. Because at the moment, he's been left with the Emery and Lundberg and Wenger players. He doesn't want them, but he's got the maximum out of them. And we've seen that's not good enough. And that's what Emery did, was he got the maximum out of some of those poor sides.
The players that we keep saying are that bad are the ones that he keeps picking first in his team sheet. And he keeps putting them down on the team sheet as the first names. Ozil plays all the time now. Xhaka plays all the time. These play, and then you're saying like Guendouzi's got a future,
but have
Guendouzi doesn't play.
So at the moment, you answered your own question by saying that we haven't got anybody else to play. So that's what you're saying. So at the moment, he's having to pick them. That's why I'm saying to you, next season, and Craig just said this will be a completely different side, and I hope it is, because this team ain't good enough. So if we do see a different midfield and we do see a different player at the back next to, say, David Luiz or whoever it be, then that's good. If it's an Arteta signing, we've still got to give Arteta the chance. You can't say in the last few months, is he the right guy for the job, because he's got a team that I don't believe is good enough to compete.
I still believe, though, that even when he gets a few players in, because we're not going to go out and spend major money, we all know that, we're all being realistic. I still think that a lot of the players that you're seeing in that team now are going to still be there. I think you'll see some tweaks and changes, but I think you're still going to see the likes of David Luiz around the place. You're still going to see Granit Xhaka in the team, in my opinion. Mesut Ozil maybe not so much, but I think that Xhaka has impressed Mikel Arteta, and I think he'll stick with him. I think it's unrealistic to expect to line up next season with a completely different, not 11,
and it won't be
a completely different.
You're going to get rid of 8 players. Exactly. No, you're right. That's why Arteta needs 2 seasons, 4 transfer windows to transform his squad, because every manager's had to do it. Jurgen Klopp had to do it in 4 seasons. This isn't what do we need next season? 8 players and then we'll compete. That ain't going to happen. We're going to have 3, then maybe another 3 go, then maybe another 3 go, and we start to build it up like that. All I'm saying is, with Arteta signings that he needs, we need to be Arteta players, not Raul players, not Vinay players. They need to be Arteta signings that wants to come in and improve. And if he believes that Upamecano is someone that he wants, that he can work with next to Saliba, then okay, that's great. That's a new centre-back partnership. If he believes that Pape Gueye from the League 2 guy is the beast in midfield that he wants, then you go and get Pape Gueye. It doesn't bother me how much these players cost. If he's got what he's got out of Saka and Martinelli and some of these other youngsters that are coming through, I'm happy with Arteta if he keeps going with that. And I think that if you can see a future with some of these players, great. I don't believe that Granit Xhaka and Mesut Ozil and Mustafi are our future. That's what I'm saying, because they've done it for 4 or 5 seasons and failed. No?
No. I thought Craig wanted to go back in. I could go on.
I think at the end of the day, it's a great argument. I think at the end of the day, even if I want to see a completely new midfield, if I'll be honest, that's what I want to see. I want to see a complete new midfield, and I want to see a complete new central defensive partnership. Whatever comes in or after that, I'm not bothered. I want to see 2 central defenders. I would love it to be the boy from France, the 2 French young boys. I'd love to see them doing that. I would then like to see, as I said, the midfield completely overhauled and changed. People say, we can't afford this and can't afford that. We'll have to sell a few players. If we have to sell Granit Xhaka and Torreira, then so be it.
I think what it is, Lee, is he's got to, however much money he gets to spend, he's got to spend it well. Because we bought Pepe.
Yeah, totally agree.
£72 million on Pepe last year was just needless.
But why doesn't anybody dig him out when he doesn't perform? This is what drives me mad. It's the same players that get dug out week in, week out. Yet then players like Nicolas Pepe, who've battered our transfer budget, not just for one window, but we're going to be paying for this guy for the next 5 years, and he doesn't produce. I'd rather play Martinelli than him at the moment.
Well, my argument, my counter argument to that would be this is his first season. He can still come good. He's still got time to come good and time to settle in. If you're using that argument over why Mesut Ozil still gets slagged, he's been at Arsenal for God knows how long.
But we can't afford to spend £70 million on a player who
that's for sure.
Who might hit the ground running after his first season. When you buy a top player, they come in and they look at Liverpool. They go and get Virgil van Dijk. He comes in, he does the job. They go and get Alisson from Italy, from another league. He comes in, he does the job. When you're talking about top players and top transfer fees, these investments have to pay off. You can't take risks. Martinelli, £6-7 million. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it's not really killed you. But for me, I don't see it from Pepe. I don't even see flashes of it. I just don't see what about that guy is worth £70 million.
I think you can, Harry. I think you can see there is talent there, but I totally agree with what you're saying. He hasn't come into the summer. We don't know if he's going to be a hit or miss. We're all hoping, he's had a season, he's going to be a big hit. But there's no guarantee. It doesn't really look like, it could well be the best player in the league next season. But again, he could still have another season like this. I think there are reasons maybe that he hasn't had a great season. This one, he comes straight into it, straight for no pre-season, new league and whatever. So I'm with Craig. I think you've got to give him another season. But you're dead right. If he doesn't produce the performances that we expect next season, and say like he's playing like he is now, a season later, we're going to have to take a big hit on him, a massive hit. And I agree with what Harry's saying there.
And I think that if you look at players like who we took a risk on in the Pirates, like that Harry has touched on in Pepe taking a risk on it, we took a massive risk on 35 million in Xhaka. We took a massive risk on 35 million Mustafi. These players ain't worked out and they're still playing 4 years later. So if Pepe is still playing the way he is at the moment, 4 years, then I'll dig him out as well. This is the thing. Mesut Ozil cost us £42 million and he's had one good season where he got 19 assists. The rest of the time he's been poor. And he's on 350k a week. That's why I slate him.
The difference is though, Dan,
can I just come to Pepe's defence here? all you lads are all you lads are slagging him off. I disagree with Harry totally, and the reason I say that is if you, Harry, you've got a great knowledge of European football, right? And I know Italian football's more your forte, but if you look at the French league, did you not notice how he was successful at Lille? I know it was a slightly weaker league, but he had that overlapping fullback at Lille, who literally was taking players away, and he played more as an inverted winger. What we've done at Arsenal is we've literally put him on that right-hand side. He's had no fullback overlapping for virtually the whole season. He's had Bellerin come back in, who hasn't been up to fitness, able to provide that. He's had Chambers at right back. He's had Socrates at right back. He hasn't had the assistance in that area. He's got Mesut Ozil, who keeps running down his lines in the right-hand side. That right-hand side has been a joke the last few weeks for Arsenal, and you can't blame Pepe. I would like to see him move more centrally, and I think you have to set him up to succeed. We're setting up to fail. Ozil is sort of like bringing midfielders back with him into that area, and when I see Pepe, I sit above where the players come out, and so Pepe's on my side first half. Whenever he gets the ball, he's faced by two defenders plus Ozil bringing another two, so you've got like four people round him every time he gets the ball. I want to see him play at Lille. It's no secret that they gave him the ball. He got the ball and he used to run centrally, take a player on and beat him. We talked tonight about we struggle with ball progression. He's somebody who can progress the ball by coming slightly deeper, getting the ball in that Ozil role and running at defences. Okay, he's not somebody who can pass in the way that Ozil can, but get him closer to Aubameyang. They are two top offensive players. Get them closer, playing 1-2s. And bring him more central. I don't think we've given him the tools to succeed this year. I want to see him, and I thought about him and Nelson being a good combination. Nelson and him who could swap positions on that right-hand side. Nelson playing central, going out wide, Pepe coming inside, and get that right fullback further up the pitch to take the defenders away, give him the opportunity to go inside. That's my view. I think there is a good player in there. I just think we've got to set him up to succeed.
Don't mind them, Graham. They're mucking about in the private chat. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. Do you know what, Graham? I would actually. Do you know what? Right, and I actually. Mean
and you're not, of course.
I actually mean this. Do you know what, Graham? I'll give you a year as manager. I'll give you a year. See what you could do. I don't think I don't think no one else could deny him the chance. To be honest, because I tell you what, you know a bit more than what Unai Emery knew.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree there. One counterpoint I want to make with Nicolas Pepe. Everyone raves about that season he had in France last year. 11 of his 22 goals were penalties. Yeah, which is a massive chunk. That's half of the goal. You still got to score him. You still got to score him. But
French Harry Kane.
The French league the French league is really, really weak. We know that. It's really weak. And for me, it's not necessarily that I've got it in for Nicolas Pepe personally, but like Dan mentioned, we took a punt on Xhaka and we did. But at the time, in my head, that made more sense because we needed a centre midfielder.
I agree with you. I know what you're going to say.
When
I agree.
We made that transfer, I thought, right, maybe Xhaka, I don't know if he's the right man because I didn't know a great deal about him, but we need a player in that position, and we've gone and taken a punt and got one. But this season, we have watched Arsenal concede goals for fun. Yet, instead of buying a top centre-half or a top defensive midfielder when we knew we needed that, we went and spent 70-odd million on a winger.
I agree with you 100%.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%. And that again comes down to recruitment. That doesn't come down to Nicolas Pepe. That just comes down to the poor recruitment over the years and years and years that we've seen. But I think with Pepe having 3 different managers, settling into a poor season, which has been a shocking Arsenal side, I'm not going to get on his back, and I stand by it. I'm getting on the back of these players that are weak, that have messed up in Baku and other places over the last 4 or 5 years, that are clearly not been good enough, and I don't want to see that again next season.
Nor do I.
No, can't argue that.
No, I can't argue with that, and I don't think you can, Harry, either. I mean, come on, we don't want to see us. Danny's right. We are weak at the moment, and I don't want to see another season of that. But I think when the season does come around again, I do think we'll see a different Arsenal. I really do. On the pitch, off the pitch, tactically. I'm looking for. Yeah, I do. I trust him, and I think he's gonna be here a very long time. Would anyone disagree? I
think we've got a very no. Just before you call time, I think we've got a very intelligent young manager, and I think he's come in, and the first thing he's done is given the club a structure. What's Lee doing? He's given the club a structure, right? Remember when he came? Well, just think back where we were when he came. Immediately came in, he gave us a structure that we had. When we were watching Arsenal in the season, Dan will say it, and I'm sure Lee will as well. The gaps between the defence and the attack were massive, and he's got the team playing closer together. He's got a structure. He's developed certain players. He's got a system in place. I think we've looked better. He's an intelligent manager, and I think he needs to be backed now by the board. And he's people like Real and Edu. They need to now come to the party. I've got no doubts we've got the right manager, and he's got a system he wants to play. He just needs now the players to play it. He's got a lot of them, but I just think he needs the right additions. I think we've got a very good manager there. I've been very impressed since he's come in.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, mate. I'm very confident. One last question. I don't know about you lot, but everyone's washing their hands now, and all this and that and the other, and everyone's doing it a bit more. Does the peanuts taste funny in your pub?
Not allowed in the pub. It's shut.
Yeah. The peanuts don't taste right anymore. Now everyone's washing their hands. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that. But okay, thanks very much for joining us. We've just been going over the hour mark there. I thought it was only going to last about 20 minutes. The way we were going, to be honest. Thank you very much for everyone who stayed. Over 250 of you this evening. Thank you very much indeed. If you've stayed till the end, please leave us a like because it helps us. So just bang a like on it for us. And if you haven't liked it yet, then still do. Come and follow us on Twitter at Same Old AFC. And as you can see up on the screen, you will see Dan's @ and Harry's @ Go over and follow them. And don't forget to follow Harry's podcast as well, Chronicles of a Gooner. He's been doing some really good stuff. If you want to see some stuff every day, then go over there and subscribe to it because he's not like us. We just rock up once a week. Harry's out there putting stuff up once, twice a day sometimes.
How's the freelance work going, Harry? Because obviously this shutdown with football must be affecting you, mate, mustn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's affecting everyone. It's a really difficult time because obviously when you're a freelancer, you're tasked with covering certain games and certain things. And if there's no games, what are you going to cover? I'm quite fortunate. I'm one of the fortunate ones because I have got a permanent contract with one of the companies that I do work for, which means that at the very minimum, I've got that. So I'm one of the lucky ones, but there are a lot of people out there who are working solely on a freelance basis, and it's a really difficult time. So fingers crossed it passes as quickly as possible.
Just one other thing, Craig, give him a dig out because he's got Adrian Clark on his show, hasn't he? Adrian, the legendary Adrian Clark.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Yes, actually, yes, I saw that yesterday. I think I retweeted that, didn't I? Yes,
I saw that. Yeah,
we're scheduled to record tomorrow, so it should be out on Wednesday.
Oh, brilliant. Get that up, mate, and we'll give that a retweet anyway.
Cheers, guys.
Absolutely. Dan, thanks very much for joining us, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just before we do go, Craig, can we just say, obviously, I know it's a bit frustrating with no football when we're all moaning about it, but to those that have lost loved ones to this horrendous virus, our thoughts are with you because it is absolutely horrendous. So I think we have to get that in there. I know it's been harsh. We've been joking and bantering about it, but it has been horrendous for some people.
There's a serious side to everything, isn't there? You know,
absolutely.
Sometimes, like I'm going around the place telling jokes about it, not telling jokes about it, but being humorous about it to try and keep up people's spirits. A lot of people can tell what kind of personality I've got. I'm flying around the hotel making jokes and trying to make people smile and stuff like that, while there's bad news going around and stuff like that, and especially with my kids here as well, they're all anxious about it and all that. But yeah, obviously there's a serious side to it and people have lost their lives. So yeah, of course, our thoughts go out to anyone who's watching, who's been affected by it. It's horrible. Graham, thank you very much indeed for coming back, mate. Absolutely. So how long until we see you again?
It's a pleasure to be back, mate. I told Dan I'm up for the challenge next week, so I'm going to be swatting all week on Arsenal FC. It better be Arsenal questions, mate, because if you're suddenly throwing things about who scored the first Premier League goal, I'm going to be stumped, all right? So as long as he keeps it Arsenal, I'll be back next week. But a pleasure to be on and love bantering you guys and good to see the judges as well as always.
I do love a question. Who was the second goalkeeper to ever save a penalty at Wembley in an FA Cup final? The second.
Not Forest goalkeeper against Gary Lineker.
What was his name?
Mark Crosley.
Who was the first?
Besson.
This is all before my time, man.
Yeah, I wasn't even alive, so I'm just
Besson.
Dave Besson. Who took the penalty?
John Barnes.
John Aldridge. Sludge is on fire. Yeah. Johnny Aldridge.
Look at this. Craig says he doesn't want to join in. Look at this. He knows it all really. He don't want to shut us all up. That's what it is.
I tell you what, if it was a general knowledge about the league, I'd join in. But as it's general knowledge about Arsenal, I'll stay out, I think. My general knowledge on Arsenal Football Club is absolutely shocking. I don't mind admitting it. I'm the host anyway.
What was the first year we won the league, Craig? First year we won the league, mate.
Ever?
First year we won the league.
Ever?
Yeah.
Ever? I don't know.
Ever.
I couldn't tell you.
Anybody?
1930.
Correct, mate. 1930. That's why he's the host next week.
Well, there you go.
1930.
I know nothing. Honestly, my general knowledge on Arsenal is embarrassing, and that is why I don't. That is why I just don't. I don't want to embarrass myself. So Dan said I'm hosting a quiz. I said do it. Fucking nice one. I'll have the week off. Judges.
I didn't quite put it like that, but actually,
Craig, he's after your job. Watch out.
I know.
I'm not as good as Craig.
Worry about anything else. I'm not going to swat on about the Arsenal. I'm going to watch Luther.
You look a bit like Luther.
Luther.
He's a white Luther.
White Luther. Yeah, he's an angry man. I've got to say that he's an angry man. But I'm looking forward to that.
Luther.
And then I'm not even going to swat.
I thought you meant the thing you washed. I thought you wash your back with in the shower.
Luther. That is a Luther.
Oh, you mean Luther? Oh, right.
Yeah. John Luther. I'm going to go watch a bit of that. And then I ain't even going to swat about their quiz because I'm feeling pretty confident that I'll nail that. But Graham's going to be good competition, I think. Yep.
Oh, boys.
Don't worry about me then.
Harry.
Yeah.
Harry.
Every time Harry don't answer the question, weren't bombing, was I? That's what we get on Harry. No good.
Question number 1. Who
Bombing, was I?
Who scored the most goals for Arsenal? Mesut Ozil.
Yeah.
Who's got
Arsenal's
the most assists
best
for
in the
Arsenal?
Prem.
So what's going to happen? What's going to happen if I beat you, Judge?
Aye?
What's going to happen if I beat you then? Seeing as you're talking big, what's going to happen if I beat you?
I'll meet you at the Emirates for a punch up. There's no way on earth you're going to beat me, Harry. Okay, no way on earth.
If Judges loses,
going to send me the questions.
If Judges loses, you have to put Socrates on your shirt next season, mate. That's what
Oh,
you mean.
my God.
Yeah. Well, I'll put Mesut Ozil on mine. Oh, God.
Now, thank you very much for everyone who has been watching. Thank you very much indeed. We shall see you next week. We will be doing the quiz. Dan will be hosting it. I might have a word with him, see if we can get some Premier League questions in there, and I might join in.
Sounds good.
So thanks very much for watching. And all I've got to say to you really is, lads, is just use your common sense for everything that's going on. Keep washing your hands. Don't touch your face. Cough into your elbow. And just take advice from the proper websites. Don't mind any WhatsApp messages going around telling you all that there's going to be a dragon, fire-breathing dragon, going to come and blow us all out of it and kill the virus, because that's not going to happen. Just use your common sense. Keep away from, keep your 2 meters distance and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see you all next week. Until we do, up the Arsenal. Take care of yourself and each other.
Up the Arsenal.
Stay safe.